Hi everyone, welcome back to the Med to Be. I am Nama Insidiru, the founder and host of the Med to Be. I'm a platform where we share honest conversations about the experiences of Black health professionals in healthcare. We talk about their journey, we talk about tips and tricks and what they've learned in their respective paths. Today I have with me Chigozie. Chigozie is a third year student. He's in his last year of physician assistant school. He goes to Stanford and he's passionate about reading, solo traveling, and cooking. Love that for you. We have a lot in common. We're going to get into that as well. First of all, how are you doing today?
Today I'm doing pretty well. I got some studying in. The weather outside is beautiful, so it's looking like a good day for me.
That's good. What does fall look like on California's side? What does that even
I actually think fall is our best season here.
really?
In Sacramento, the weather's cool. Outdoor walks are amazing. All of the trees are turning a different color. It's just a really nice vibe. And it doesn't get, it never gets too cold here. So it's pretty enjoyable for the most part.
Wow. And seasonal depression doesn't reach you guys over there, I'm
No,
sure. Must be nice.
our clouds never cover the whole sky. We don't snow
Hi.
here. So
Hi. Must be nice. Must be nice. Okay. So I really want to get into the conversation about who you are, why you chose this respective path, but I want to hit you with some rapid fire questions. I told you that you can't prepare for these questions. These are not questions that you can study for. So choose a random number between 1 and 15.
Mm, I really like the number six.
Number six. Okay. What's the weirdest mnemonic you've come up with?
Oh my God. You're talking to the right one. My God. Oh my gosh. Okay, so weirdest mnemonic that I've ever come up with is probably hello, Mr. Travis. So it's hello spelled HOLO, and then Mr. is MR, Travis is spelled TR, and then it's VS with a silent D at the end.
Okay.
So when you're also
Wait.
taking
Travis with a D? Okay.
yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
When you're auscultating for heart sounds, right, you want to listen to heart murmurs, and we always look for some things like hollow systolic or pan-systolic murmurs, which is in the systole phase, and it's the consistent throughout. And I kept forgetting which ones were related to the hollow systolic. So I said, okay, hello, Mr. Travis, MR, mitral regurg, Travis, TR, tricuspid regurg. This is is VSD or ventricular ventricles. Oh wait, no, yeah, septal defect. So yeah,
Wow, that is a good one for
thank you, thank you, thank
sure.
you, thank you, thank you.
Wow. Did you made that up by yourself too? That's like
I
an
all
original.
by myself.
Nice. That's a good one. Okay. Nice. Okay. Another question. Choose another number 1 to 15.
I'm gonna go with four.
4. Okay. What's one misconception people have about physician assistants?
I would say a big misconception is probably that some people believe that we want to become the MD or that we want to be the medical doctor. A lot of us may have wanted to do the MD route. Family may have gotten in the way, life may have gotten in the way. We wanted to choose something or different. But those of us like me who are a bit on the younger side, I saw PAs and worked with PAs, and I loved what they did and their role with assisting the MD, and I really liked that. So, despite what might be happening in the world of our larger organized body, many of us are very, very happy never being the MD. So, yeah.
Yes, that's so true. A lot of times people say that, well, some misconceptions that I've read doing research is like PAs, there's less here, so that it seems like an easier route, but you still have to put in the work. You still have to be intentional. You still have to like what you do at the end of the day as well. But yeah.
Very, very true.
Yeah. Okay. Last one, 1 through 15.
Okay, I'm going to go with a larger number. Let me do a number 11.
11. Okay. What's the weirdest place you've ever studied for an exam?
Oh my God, again, you asked the right one. Okay, so I like to do studycations where back in didactic year, we would have a week off before our week of like death finals, and we called it Dead Week, where we don't have any classes, we just study. I have a group of dope people, my classmates Karishma and I we study so hard during the entire term that when Dead Week came along, I could kind of chill. So we me and my classmates, some of us would take vacations and study for finals at those spots.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the oddest place that I've done is probably on a beach in Long Beach, California, with like a burrito in my hand and like my tablet in my other hand while I'm studying for my exams. So yeah.
Nice. That sounds like a very relaxed. I feel like I find it difficult to like balance the two, but you have that enjoyment and you have that studying. That's
I
good.
just, I like, we should enjoy. Life is too short not to enjoy.
I'm telling you. I feel like so just watching your stories and kind of knowing you a little bit, I feel like you spend a lot of your time. Correct me if I'm wrong. You spend a lot of time studying. One thing about you, I feel like unless you're gonna study.
It's always, always. I can't help but like, for me, I'm not a fast learner. Never in my
Mm,
life have I been quick, but I've never, despite the amount of time that I study, I always find time for enjoyment. Like, I'm the slow and steady type. Also, a lot of the things that bring me joy are slow and steady things. So it kind of merges pretty well for me. And usually, I'm never really in a bad mood when it comes to studying. So I'm okay taking my time.
I love that. That's very good. Okay, so let's pivot a little bit. Let's backtrack and go to the standard why question. Why did you choose to become a physician assistant?
Good question. If I'm speaking honestly, back when I was in high school, I was with my older brother. He's a peds ICU nurse. My older sister, she's a neonatal ICU nurse. And when I was thinking about what I wanted to do with my life and what career choice I wanted to make, my older brother had told me, I want you to consider becoming a PA. And I was like 16 at the time. And I was just like, okay. So I did research on PA and I really, really liked it, but I didn't really know why I liked it, right? Then I shadowed multiple PAs and I saw how they were extensions of the MDs that they worked with, and I just fell in love with the entire process. I liked the idea of not having the most complex patients, not having the larger quantity load, right? But then still having direct patient facing care and also helping an MD like reach even fuller potentials. The PAs
Hmm.
that I was working with, like one of my favorite mentors, she was in a neurology clinic and her MD were like a married couple, and he saw incredibly interesting cases, expanded his research. But that was because he had such trust in the PA that he worked with and seeing his post op, seeing his follow up, seeing his return patients. So all of that, plus the fact that a lot of the PAs who I had worked with had pretty good schedules
Mm.
and a pretty decent pay, it kind of showed me that this is what I want to do with the rest of my career, at least with my first career. You know what I mean?
That's great. I love the thought process behind it. One thing that I mentioned in like our pre-interview was how I'd seen some research about how the physician assistant name had changed to physician associate. What is the correct term, or how do you feel about that? What is the correct term for PAs?
For me, I think as long as I am practicing, I will tell my patients and friends and family that they can just call me a physician assistant, right?
Mm, okay.
A lot of people don't really care, honestly. I don't think I've seen many PAs who actually care versus assistant versus associate. I
Mm-hmm.
think the majority won't, but technically in the years to come, it's not yet official, but soon enough it will be officially physician associate, which actually I think follows the correct name that they call themselves in the UK.
Mm,
So that is that. But for me, honestly, my patients, I don't want them to ever call me like PA or anything. They'll just call me by my name, honestly.
okay.
So yeah.
Okay, nice. So moving on to transforming your dream, you had this thing in mind to become a physician assistant. What were some steps you took to get into Stanford? If you don't mind sharing, like your statistics, GPA, the exam that you took, and how you were able to get that many clinical hours, because they require a lot of clinical hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I definitely want to preface this by saying anybody who is a pre PA, do not do what I did for your own sanity, okay? I knew I wanted to be a PA from a pretty young age. So as soon as I hit the ground, I went to Berkeley for for undergrad. And so I actually came in to study chemical biology. I was accepted to their College of Chemistry. And then I was looking at their unit load and I was just like, God, if I do this, I'm not going to be able to work during school. Like, I will
Mm.
just be a chemical biologist at the end of the day. So I dropped out of the college despite my mentor telling me not to, and I switched into Berkeley's College of Public Health. And public health was still tough. I still had to take tons of prerequisites outside to match the scientific requirements for PA school. Just allowed me that little bit of lax to work. So all throughout 2017 to 2021, when I was an undergrad, I worked. I was working 3 to 4 days a week. Class would end at 2:30. I got my CNA license or certificate, certified nurse assistant,
Mm.
and I worked as a CNA and I worked as a patient care tech. I would ride my bike from campus 20 minutes to an Alzheimer's and dementia facility, work there from 3 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. Then I would bike back, change, go to the library, sit and study at the library that closes at 2 a.m., wake up, get ready for class, and do it all over again multiple times of the week. I also worked as a patient care tech, which is basically a CNA. I did agency work, meaning they would send me to skilled nursing facilities or post acutes or subacutes that were in need, and I collected hours that way. And when it comes to stats, I had about 2,000 hours, a little over 2,000 hours by the time I applied in 2021. GPA, my graduating GPA, I want to say was, I can't remember, I think it was like a 3.7. And then I had plenty of volunteer hours. I was the president of a pre PA club that was also for physical therapists and nurse practitioner, people who wanted to become those. I was the president of a bone health club that talked about osteoporosis and orthopedics and all things bone related. I was the senator of diversity and inclusion for my scholarship organization that was there at Berkeley's campus. I was a hypertension health coach and did hypertension health research with a family medicine doctor at Berkeley. And let me think, what else did I do? I was an editor for a little bit for a public health journal.
Dang, this is a
And
long list.
yeah, 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 no, literally. And then after all of that had finished, I worked just a little bit, just for like a couple of months as like an obesity health coach for this private organization. All of that to say, I did a lot in 4 years to get myself prepared for PA school and to feel like I was going to be a competitive applicant. Did definitely too much. That was a lot on my body, but we're here now. So yeah.
Chigozie, you are a hard worker. And I wanted to ask you, so with your I get the vibe that you're someone who likes to enjoy life as well, but you're definitely a hard worker. Nonetheless, how were you able to strike a balance between work life? How were you able to navigate that work life integration during
Mm,
this time? And how are you able to maintain it now?
I'll say I'm so much better now than I was then. I
Hmm.
think for most people, no matter what like career choice you choose to follow, once you get into your program, like once you're in the last leg, something happens to your spirit. Like as soon as I got into PA school, I know I want to be the best PA that I can be for sure, but I'm finally at a stage in my life where this is the last thing I'm going to have to do school wise. This is the last time I'm going to need to take a test or do all these other things, right? So now I'm much better than then. Back
Hmm.
then, I relied on the basics. I like to read. I read whenever I could. I like to exercise. I used to go on really long jogs. I used to I go and lift weights whenever I could. I also had a really good group of friends at Berkeley who were always with me when I was studying. And we had such a good time together while also being able to focus. It just kind of melded into, college is nice because you're associating with people that you like, but you also might be getting work done around the same
Mm.
time. So that was enough to fill my cup. Nowadays, though, I look back and I know like there were dark times for sure. Times when I was incredibly anxious. I suffered from terrible stomach pain because of stress. I was not sleeping enough now. But now At my big age, you cannot convince me to do anything like or kill
Mm-hmm.
myself for any sort of test or assignment. I do the work that I need to do. I'm pretty consistent. And then I make sure that I schedule out blocks of time for my joy. On
Mm-hmm.
the weekends, I'm done studying by like 1. I'm taking myself out on dates. I'm taking myself out for day trips. I'm calling people and my friends. I'm seeing family. It wasn't like that in undergrad. It got better during PA school.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I
Yeah.
love a good solo date too. Fun fact. I love a good solo date. Honestly,
That's
one thing
right.
about
That's
me, if
right.
nobody's ready to go, I'm gonna go by myself.
I'm going to go
Okay.
by myself.
Please, that enjoyment must be had. Okay.
I'm still
Thank
going to
you.
be hungry whether or not I'm eating with or
Think
without someone.
I'm
Do you know what I
telling
mean?
you, I'm still gonna be hungry. So
You
might as
see?
well. Yeah, wow. I love the honesty with transitioning through. You did what you needed to do to get where you needed to be, and now that you're here, you're able to readjust, to give yourself
Mm.
that time back, and to give yourself that balance in this season of your life. So that's very cool. I wanted to ask you another question about struggle and failure. So you definitely had your hand in a lot of different baskets in undergrad, and now with you kind of redefining your life and working towards getting your degree, what were some moments of struggle, or rather, what was a moment of struggle or failure you experienced? If you're comfortable sharing, how did you navigate that, and what did that teach you about failure and struggle in your career?
Gosh. Okay. I am grateful to say that no matter what times of stress that there were, um, that I have always been able to academically pull through.
Mm-hmm.
But I can think of two areas of struggle. The first one was I was in Nigeria. I was doing my last semester, part of it there, because COVID had hit and everything was online, and my sister was getting married. And I was taking a organic chemistry course that I had actually taken at another school, a community college nearby. OChem is not necessary for many PA programs, but I had convinced myself that I should still take it just in case. And I didn't have any more room. My units at Berkeley were full. Couldn't have added OChem if I wanted to. So I enrolled in another school and I took both Spanish and OChem while having a full load at Berkeley,
Mm-hmm.
while being in another country.
Mm-hmm.
It was horrible. I was taking tests with time zone differences. There were so many things. I was in the village because we're village
Oh,
people.
you're village
And
people too?
we're village
Dang.
people. We're
Standard.
not everybody is from Lagos, okay? We are from
Oh my
deep
gosh, yeah.
emo village, right? So
For
there
emo
was
too? Me
so
too.
That's right. You see, I know my sister
Wait, are
now.
you serious?
Okay.
Bro,
No, we'll
yeah.
have to catch up.
Yes.
So yeah, so when I was there, it was really tough. OChem is OChem, right?
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, I did not give myself enough time to digest anything. So I
Mm,
ended the class with like I believe a 79.4. The first time in my life that I've ever gotten a C, and I was like, "My God, I'm so close to a B." So I
mm-hmm.
messaged the professor, and he had already said beforehand, he was like, the grade is the grade. I don't do any of this bumping up stuff. I still messaged him and I said, hey, I know what you said before, but please. And he told me, he was like, you came to class, you came to office hours, you showed up. I knew you were in another country. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
already told me that you were enrolled in all these other things. I'm going to make an exception. I'm going to bump you up to that B. It taught me a lot. One, it taught me to make good connections with the people
Mm-hmm.
who are your educators, with people who are there, because you just never know where they're going to have some flexibility or opportunity for you. But then it also really humbled me. I'm over here living my life thinking I'm a superhuman and I can get good grades in everything that I do while also doing so many other things.
Mm-hmm.
All of my other grades were awesome. OChem failed, and that's because I put too much on my plate and I wasn't like humble enough to see that it probably wasn't a good or wise decision. So that was tough. That was tough.
Wow.
Yeah.
That favor that he bumped it up to a B, because you were also literally right there.
But
That's
he let it
amazing.
know. He was like, I'm not playing these games. At the very beginning of the
Mhm.
semester, he was like, don't come to me with all that. And I still did.
What you still
So I was
Wow.
glad. I was really glad.
That's a
Yeah.
great, definitely a lot of learning lessons there. I'm pivoting a little bit to your life outside of becoming a PA. What do you like to do for fun? We talked about solo dates briefly, but what are you passionate about outside of medicine?
I have said this before, and many people who know me, I love books.
Hmm.
I tell people, I'm like, if it weren't for this horrible thing called school, that's all I would do with my free time, right?
Wow.
When I am in any kind of emotional distress, you can often find me reading far more than I should. So I really do like books. I love fantasy books. I like fiction. I really like audiobooking nonfiction novels. I don't usually read nonfiction, but I will listen to nonfiction.
Mm-hmm.
And I also really, really like to write. I hope to be an author or a traveling author. I actually
Hmm.
want to, actually, I'm working on a book on Igbo fantasy. So, yeah.
Very
So that's
cool.
kind of like some of those things. So that's probably my largest hobby outside of school.
Wow. We're looking forward to that book release. You guys heard it here first. He's writing a book on evil fantasy.
No, my first promo, honestly.
That's good. Okay, so you love to read. What else do you like to do? We mentioned that you like to cook,
Yes.
and you also like to solo travel as well. What are some places that you really like? What's a memorable trip that you've been on recently?
Okay. First, I'll give my little braggadocious list of the places that I've been
Okay,
to.
go ahead, go
Oh,
ahead.
that's right. I like to solo travel. I've been to New York and LA when I was a baby solo traveler, you know. My first trip was actually before PA school. I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm out. Nobody wants to travel with me. I'm going to take myself to Italy and Greece. Spent
Wow,
20 days in Italy and Greece. It was awesome.
beautiful.
I think about that trip whenever I'm down. I just think about me being on the waters in Greece, and suddenly, dopamine, comes back. I've been to Japan solo. I've been to Nigeria solo. And I went to Mexico most recently. I went to Oaxaca for like a week, and that was really nice. But I think my favorite solo trip, I'm not going to say Nigeria because I always love Nigeria and I feel like that's a cheat. So I will actually go and say, I'll actually say I
Hmm.
thought Greece was awesome. The waters were beautiful and clear. I found people to be very friendly. The
Mm,
food was delicious. I thought it was pretty easy to navigate. I thought a lot of the islands were very walkable. And I just felt very comfortable when I was there. I remember walking down the streets in like Athens or something, and I literally heard two people walking past me speaking Igbo. And I was just like, you know what? I feel at home here. So Greece was up. Greece was dope.
that's great. That's so beautiful. Okay. Yeah, I definitely would love to do that solo travel Italy and Greece combo.
It's a good
Wow,
combo. No, no,
that's a nice
solid
combo.
combo. I think that with solo traveling, especially me as like a man, I feel, of course, there's barely situations where I don't feel that safe. I will say in Italy, there were many people who told me to avoid certain places as a black man.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something to note. Greece, I think our kind is liked and loved there. So I got a lot of free food in Greece. So,
Really
yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
definitely taking note of that. All right, then okay, two more questions. My other question
Mm,
is kind of trajectory thinking towards the future. You're in your last year, which is super exciting. You're finishing up your program soon. Do you
yeah.
have an idea of what you would like this next chapter of your life to look like? What specialty you'll be going into and how are you going to navigate that season?
Yeah. Honestly, you think you know, and then clerkships come up and kind of shift you all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
As for me, I'll kind of start when I first started PA school, I wanted to do family medicine. I liked the idea of family medicine. I always liked the idea of public health. I was a public health
Mm-hmm.
major. Also liked the idea of global medicine, maybe doing something in Nigeria in the future. Thought that would have been dope. But I then got to Stanford, and no tea, no shade to how Stanford is, but it kind of threw so many different niche, specific, unique things at me. Like PAs can do this, a PA can work here, and I was like, whoa, So then I switched to saying, okay, surgery. I'll do CT or neurosurgery, pediatrics most likely. That seems like it'll be at the top of my license. I'll be able to do a lot of cool stuff. And then I got to clerkships. And I quickly realized, no, I am who I am. Family medicine is, in fact, what it is that I want to do. I like the idea of working with one MD in a clinic, pretty stable. I like the idea of having patients and knowing them for years to come, right?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of is what I'm looking at. However, I'm not going to say I'll never switch. I think that there's a lot of opportunities. I can switch specialties whenever I want as a PA, but especially as a new grad, I'm pretty sure I'm going to start off in something like family medicine with a
Okay.
focus of like peds because I prefer pediatric patients. So.
Okay. And for PAs, do you have an idea of what like the protocol is for if you want to change the specialty? Do you have to like take an exam or do you just like move as you please? How does that work?
So you do not have to take an exam. It is one of the things we're trained as quote unquote generalists, right? I actually really appreciated how one of my professors had said it. She was saying that PAs should know anatomy throughout their career because if you can go through and change specialties when you want, you should have a very strong background on the anatomy and physiology of the entire body for as long as
Mm-hmm.
possible. And I really took that to heart. You don't have to take an exam, you don't have to do anything. You just have to be, I think, one, humble, and two, ready to really study your butt off when you switch to a new specialty. Because I've seen PAs who've gone from like ICU, neuro ICU to like pediatrics, and it is a whole different universe that they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to take a test, you don't have to do anything, but you do have to remember, like, okay, this is you starting over, and for the first like year or more, you're probably gonna suck, and you're probably going to need to study. So that's kind of it is what it is.
Okay. Okay. Great. And then my last question is I always like to ask at the end of my podcast
Mm.
for my guests to share a message with the Med to Be, which is the person who is interested in either pursuing a career similar to yours or is having a hard time navigating their career and just needs some inspiration. So, what is a message you can share with the Med to Be?
I would say for the person who's moving forward to find those refreshing activities, things that really truly do refresh your soul and feed your spirit and make them a non negotiable. I believe in non negotiables. I believe that you should not negotiate how much sleep you're getting. You should not negotiate how much you take care of your body, how well you're eating, the exercise that you're doing. Those are the human basics, right? But I think that you shouldn't also negotiate the things that you know truly bring you joy. Like for me, I know I like to read. I'm not going to negotiate, can't, I'm not going to read for this month because I'm in my surgical rotation. So I'm just going to, I can't, I can't, I
Hmm.
can't, I can't do it. And I think that's like what really helps me kind of keep on track is because I know I told myself that this is what I'm going to do this weekend, that I'm going to take this time off and read. I think everybody should do that. Whatever it is that you like to do, whatever feeds your soul, make it something that you don't negotiate about because life is too short for you to start cutting out the things that mean most to you, that mean the most to you just for you're going to graduate anyways. Trust me, you're going to get in, you're going to be able to do it no matter how long it takes. Don't suffer along the way, minimize suffering, please. So, yeah,
Minimize suffering. Thank you.
please,
That's a good
please,
one. Minimize
please.
suffering. Yes, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's important. I think that I don't know. I don't know. I think PA school was definitely has been the hardest 3 years that I've gone through. I'm exhausted. The idea of taking more tests and doing more board exams, and especially I think as you're at the end, as I'm at the end, I'm facing senioritis. Um, but just remembering that there is the light at the end of the tunnel. I was working as a freaking CNA, wrestling 6 foot demented patients who I needed to shower and wipe their butt, like I was doing, I was legitimately on the ground after work because my feet hurt so much from standing for so long, like those were dark times. And Now I'm almost to a point where I'm going to have a salary. I'm not going to worry about money. I'm probably going to have a schedule, hopefully, that I
Mm-hmm.
like. Like, for those who are going in, yes, for sure, it's going to be tough. Promise, promise, promise. You're going to get through it. So just
Wow, that's such great advice. Because you are such a hard worker. Like you work so hard to get to where you are. And so you should just be like, no, I'm getting
I'm like, no, but we are. You know what I'm talking? I feel like I know that anybody who's black and who wants to go into medicine is going to be a hard worker. I just feel like, off topic when it comes to mediocrity and things like that. Not all of us are given that sort of benefit, to be above and beyond. I'm the only black person in my PA cohort. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm,
you have to really. It sucks, but being a hard worker, it does have a purpose. It does have a purpose. I feel like everybody who I've met who's also black and in medicine is incredibly exceptional. So yeah.
incredible. Yeah. Like I agree. Is incredibly. I think that's one thing that I've learned on my everybody like one thing I love about the podcast is that everybody is like I'm astounded by the work that this person has put in just to get where they are. Like it's crazy for sure. So definitely hats off to you. Like I just hope
Thank you.
I'm excited for this next season of your life because you worked like you I've actually worked so hard to get to where you are. So
Thank you.
honestly, I hope this next chapter and season is good. Like honestly, so happy for you. I think those are all the questions I have to share. Is there any last message? Anything else you want to let us know? Anything you want to plug in? Any like any farewells?
Mm, I would say last plug is what I tell a lot of people when it comes to PA programs. Okay, don't let prestige take you away from the fact that you want to be in a financially good spot. All right,
Mm,
these big name schools here on the West Coast, they cost them a lot. All right,
sorry.
some dope schools on the East Coast that are older and more, I guess, rooted, like they're older schools, are like a third of the cost. So please,
Mm,
please, please, I know prestige means a lot to a lot of people. Just reconsider. That's it. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say.
okay. And
Yeah.
how do you feel the scholarship platform? Like the scholarship, how do you feel the scholarship platform for PAs is right now? Do you think there's a lot of scholarship opportunities, or do you think it's still something that's growing and being navigated?
It's still something that's growing and being navigated. I think that there's a lot that can be done, but I know that PA programs across the country are doing better with getting donors and then
Mm,
also offering. I was offered multiple scholarships for some PA programs. I know that they're trying. So I think as the PA profession becomes more and more seen as necessary or growing, that will also lead to PA programs receiving more scholarship opportunities. So don't let the price scare you from applying, because you just don't know what your financial offer is going to be until you get your financial offer.
okay, great. And then one more question I just remember now. Are there any conferences for physician assistants? I didn't done the research for this one yet, but are there any conferences for young PAs?
Definitely. So I'm here in California, right? We have the California Association of Physician Assistants, and they have
Okay.
a couple of conferences, I think, throughout the year. But then there's also the AAPA, which is the American Association of Physician Assistants, and they have a large conference, yearly conference that happens in
Okay.
different spots every year. So those are the two that I can think of. Whoever listening, their own state might have their own body that might have their own conferences, but the AAPA one is pretty big, and they do a lot there. And they even have the God, I'm forgetting the name of the org, but the PA equivalent of like SNMA, where it's catered towards Black PA students and Black PA professionals.
Okay.
They also meet at the AAPA conference as well. So that's one to
Okay.
definitely go. I haven't gone, but when I'm done and I'm professional, I'll definitely go to one of those conferences.
Okay, that's great. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
I think that's it. Thank you so
Okay.
much, Chigozie, for taking the time to pour into people that are watching this video, to pour into me, to share your story. Like I keep saying it, but you really have worked so hard, and I'm so happy for you and so excited for what is to come. To the viewers, to the meant to be community, thank you so much again for watching and listening. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Make sure you send Chigoze some early congratulations on his graduation, on the next season, on his next season. And I will see you in next time for on the next episode. All right, bye.